Hello.
Hello.
Back, and hopefully that should fix the audio problem.
Should we go around and reintroduce ourselves?
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm dijonketchup.
I am leggystarscream.
I'm Pidge01.
I'm Hitokage220. I'll be commentating along with Pidge.
Heck yeah.
Whoa!
They'll be doing an 80% race, Leggy and Dijon, and the game, when you race, normally people like to skip the 8-minute tutorial, and I don't blame them. So we'll be headed off into the game right away. And is anything you guys wanted to say before we get started?
Hopefully RNG is on our side.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Get hype.
Yeah. Definitely want Scyther. And good card draws in general. And also,
Scyther.
yeah, especially Scyther. But if we don't get Scyther, we do have a way to manip it, so...
This run is heavily RNG, so we're just going to be praying the whole game, so please help us out in chat with that.
Okay. You ready to go, Leggy?
Yeah, who wants to count us down?
I can do it.
Alright.
Alright. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So the first thing that the runners are going to do is just modify their deck. What we're going to start off with is like mostly, I think, fire and fighting types, because like the deck that you start off with, the Charmander and Friends deck, it has some cards that they don't really want. You really want to like, you really want to, oh sorry, I meant fire and electric. You want to like kind of focus your deck on only having 2 types, because if you like try to expand it into too many types, then you're gonna like have a hard time getting the energy cards that you want for your cards. First what they did was take some cards out of their deck so that the lab assistant says, oh, you don't have any energy cards, let me give you some more. So from there, they're able to build a stronger deck that can take on the first couple of gyms that these types are good for.
So there you just see our rival for the first time. His name's Ronald, typical Pokemon rival. Now the first club we head off to is the Grass Club, and our fire and fighting deck is very well here, actually, because most of their Pokemon are grass, but the other type that they have more commonly is normal, and we have a card in our deck, Diglett, and he is very well one of the best cards in this run. So, Lucky out here has a Charmander. Charmander, for 2 energy, can do 30 damage, and he has to discard an energy. And for 1 energy, he can do 10 damage. So, if you have energy, Charmander is very good. But you have to have fire energy to do 30 damage.
And unfortunately on Dijon's side, she's facing a Venonat, and Venonat is quite annoying because of Stun Spore. With Stun Spore, you have to flip a coin every turn to see if you become unparalyzed, and if you're paralyzed, you can't attack.
So, I think her name's Kristen? No, it's Heather. Heather, in her deck, she has every EV illusion, and that's the one thing you don't really want to see happen, is her evolving. So, Leggy over here is trying to make it through, and I think that she will. It's looking okay. Venonat versus Diglett is not a good matchup, though. Diglett is just done now, unless you get a full heal. Nope, you got a full heal, nice.
Meanwhile, Dijon picked up a Magmar on this attempt versus Heather, which is awesome. Magmar is quite a powerful card, considering that, like, It has like decent HP and is fairly easy to set up and does like massive damage like for its stats. So she's kind of like one-shotting everything with all the fire energies, which is pretty awesome. On the previous attempts, she was drawing stuff like Growlithe and Ponyta, which are weaker and take longer to kind of set up for like lesser payoff than Magmar. But getting Magmar out is quite good. He can last a long time and do a lot of work. So Magmar just did a clean sweep of all of Heather's cards, so Dijon drew all 4 prizes, which means she...
Alright, over here on round 2, went much better. Heather has quite a few normal type Pokemon, and the fighting type, just, you know, all the normal types are weak to fighting type. So that means you do ×2 damage, and yeah, made that fight really go very much better. Alright, Licky Tongue, I like to call Licky Tongue Licky Troll. It's one card you never want to see. It has 1,000,000 energy, and it can paralyze you. And it just makes every fight that it shows up in take that much longer.
And unfortunately, both of our runners are having that same bad luck.
As you can see, if Licky Tongue gets a heads, you're paralyzed.
Dijon's been having quite good luck so far. Has been getting all negatives on the paralysis, and Charmander has enough energy to do Ember 3 times, so Lickitung is knocked out now on her. So you can kind of like get an idea of how RNG heavy the race route can be. Like she still had to reset there because of a bad draw after Lickitung, but up until then she was getting very good luck on the paralysis.
Alright, now we're Charmander versus Tangoya. Tangoya has 3 energy, that's pretty scary, but Charmander is going to survive this poison and be able to kill it. Because it's weak. And we're done, because you can see in the top left corner during the battles, the number of Pokemon left is on the left, and the number of prizes left is on the right. And if the left number is 0, that means after you kill this Pokemon, you're done with the fight. Alright, Brittany is definitely one of the worst trainers of early game. She can kill your run, most often she does. Her deck has very many different types in it, which you think wouldn't work out, and usually it doesn't. She can't find the energy she needs, but she just has so much different things that it's very hard to counter what she does. Right now we're fighting Magmar, and this Magmar is different. This is Fossil Magmar, and he does smoke screen, and what that does, every turn you have to flip a coin. If you don't get heads, you don't do attack.
So Dijon was able to get a Charmander out, which casts Ember, and the Ember attack does double damage to grass types, and its base damage is 30, and so with double damage it's doing 60. And most of Kristen's cards only have 5 HP, so once she got the Charmander out, that was pretty much a clean sweep. It was also, she also picked up a full heal, which is awesome in the grass club, because everything under the sun, like, literally, well, I don't mean to make a pun about the sun there, but, like, everything under the sun is going to paralyze you in the grass club. So she picked up that full heal. That is, like, a really, really, really good card to see in the grass club.
Oh, now we're using a computer search. Best card that you can get mostly if you're struggling. Computer search, you discard 2 cards and then you can pick any card you want from your deck. So she picked Dugtrio. Dugtrio is very strong. Probably the best Pokemon that you can use in this run, I would say. But, you know, I guess that's objective. I mean, subjective. But as you can see, Dugtrio he sweeps up the floor. I mean, he does 40 damage for 3 energy, And I think he does, is it 60?
It's 7.
70. Earthquake is, yeah, he does Earthquake, which is 70. And he will, if you do Earthquake, will have extra animations if you have a bench that take a little, like half a second for each bench Pokemon you have. But basically, he one-shots almost everything.
Dijon just had some incredible coin flips there. Nidoran's attack, you flip a coin 3 times for 10 times damage each and got 3 negatives, so Magmar was able to survive that one turn, but Magmar only has 30 HP left, so just barely survives that second kick attack. It probably seems like kind of random that we're fighting a fighting trainer inside the Grass Club, but it's because like there's 3 trainers that are kind of scattered throughout the world in different clubs. You have to beat all 3 of them to take on the fighting club leader. For the most part, we're only going to be facing trainers that are required to beat the leader of their gym, and usually they're in the same gym.
Usually people fight Michael on the second time over to the grass gym because the leader of the grass gym is not in the gym. You have to fight all 3 people and then go find her in this dude's house. And then she goes back to the grass club, so that looks like that's what Dijon is doing right now. But on the way back, before we go back to the grass club, we stop at the lightning club because our deck has some fighting Pokemon, which are very good against the electric type. They are all weak to the fighting. And so Diglett is really going to sweep up here until you get to the trainer Jennifer. Jennifer has...
Orb.
Jennifer has a flying Pikachu. Oh, and here is Brandon's Zapdos. This is something actually you don't ever want to see because you just can't do damage to Zapdos because it's flying type and they resist. So anything that's less than 40 damage will do nothing to Zapdos. So you saw that they reset, and that's a very good idea when you're up against a Zapdos and you don't have options. But they're still they did continue duel instead of continue from diary. Now that's something that you'll see both of these happen in the run. The runners will save before every fight and sometimes reset and go back into the fight. So if you reset and do continue duel, you get to start your turn over. But you don't always get to use every card. If you used energy or a trainer, you won't get those back. But if you pick the wrong option of what you wanted to do, then you can do that over. Or you can reset what you saw just now and continue from diary and start the whole fight all the way over. And you're going to see this a lot.
Over on Dijon's side, she's got the Charmander out, but I think I saw a handful of fighting energies, which is kind of difficult because there's a lot of fighting energies there, which we try to use only 2 types in a deck to make it more likely that we're able to stock up our characters and not draw the wrong kind of energy. But sometimes it's just a luck of the draw. You get the wrong kind of energy for your Pokemon. The thing with Charmander's attacks is that its more powerful attack takes fire energies, but you have to discard a fire energy from him, and you can only attach 1 energy per turn. So you kind of have to be careful, with what energies you're attaching to Charmander and what attacks you're using when they require a discard. However, she was able to build up that Arcanine that does 50 damage, which is enough to knock out Pikachu, and as long as this Arcanine doesn't take too much damage from Brandon's Pokemon, she can probably do some pretty massive damage to the rest.
Alright, we got this far, but unfortunately Pikachu can do more than 20 damage to kill Magmar, but we still have this Ponyta, which can do 30 damage. What we would really want to see in that case would be a card called Plus Power. Plus Power allows you to do 10 more damage than you normally would. So that's a very important card to end fights early before the opponent gets the advantage.
That's not what you want to see.
Alright, Leggy has one prize left. Looks like should be okay, but Brandon's stalling. He used a oh, we got a Charmeleon. That's very good. Charmeleon is the best evolution of Charmander. Charizard, you're never gonna see it in the run. It's actually a very bad card. But Charmeleon is very good. For 3 energy, it can do 30 damage without discarding, or it can do 50 damage for 2 fire energy and a anything energy, and just by discarding. It's a very good card. Oh, you got an item finder and a Scyther. Very nice. Congrats. So we don't have to worry about doing any manipulator over here on Leggy's screen because she got a Scyther. Scyther, you will see how good he is later in the run and why he's so important. She also got a trainer called Item Finder. What Item Finder does is you can use a card, a trainer card, and it will go in your discard pile. You wouldn't be able to use it again. But with Item Finder, you can take cards out of your discard pile to use them twice. So it's a very good card.
On Dijon's side, speaking of very good Pokemon, she does have a Dugtrio on the field. Dugtrio is kind of a staple of this run if you can play that card. He does require a bit of TLC to set up because his previous evolution, Diglett, only has a very low HP. But once you get enough energies on a Diglett and you can play the Dugtrio, massive damage. Very few drawbacks to using Dugtrio, and we try to put as many of those in our decks as possible.
So over here you see the Flying Pikachu. This is the one card Jennifer has that completely walls Diglett, the best Pokemon. So that's why we have to keep our fire Pokemon in our deck, because if you don't, you can't beat the flying types. But that was a very nice, fast fight. And we're on to the Lightning Club Master. He is actually a pushover. If you have a Diglett, you win. Basically, that's what happens. Mostly, unless they self-destruct, which is very rare. But your run's going very well so far, Leggy, I would say.
Aw, shucks. I'm going to blame it on the Diglett earrings that I'm wearing.
Oh, whoa. Nice. I'm jealous.
Meanwhile, Dijon is fighting Jennifer. What's her name? I can't remember the trainer's
Jennifer.
name. Jennifer, okay, yeah. I always get Jennifer and Brittany's names mixed up, but probably because they have the same sprite in the paste bin that somebody sent me. Yeah, like we were saying earlier, Jennifer can be quite annoying because of the Pikachus are special types and they have resistances. Like Flying Pikachu resists ground, which ground and fighting were merged into one type in the trading card game. So Machop is gonna have its damage very nerfed on Flying Pikachu, and it can just be a real pain to deal with.
Yeah, Machop can't do anything to Flying Pikachu, unfortunately.
One of the kind of difficult things about the Lightning Club is that even though it's a Lightning Club, several of the trainers, like Jennifer and Nicholas, have Pokemon that are not Lightning type, like Eevees and Coughings and Flying Pikachu, and stuff that's not weak to ground fighting, and not weak to fire either, and they can be quite a bit of a hassle to deal with because you don't get the double damage type advantage with those Pokemon, and some of them also have very annoying things they can do to you to make it much harder for you.
Alright, Tauros is actually kind of scary, and it had a defender on it, but luckily it had a card called Gust of Wind, and what that does is just, you get to pick what Pokemon, you know, the trainer will have to put out for you to fight. And it's very useful a lot of times because some people try to stall and make the fight just take forever. But if you have a Gust of Wind, you can just bring out whatever Pokemon you want, kill it, and, their stalling is not very effective at that point.
Dijon just drew a pretty nice trainer card. Trainer cards, which I guess we never really explained, are kind of like support cards. They're not Pokemon that you place down on the field. They are just things that you can do otherwise in your turn. Sometimes they do things like increase your Pokemon's defense or attack for a turn, let you draw more cards, things like that. So she drew Professor Oak, which is a pretty nice card to have. It allows you to discard your entire hand to draw 7 more cards from your deck. And a lot of the strategy in this run is just based on getting Dugtrio out as fast as you can, getting as many fighting energies on Dugtrio as fast as you can, getting your Magmars out, powering up your Charmander. You need more cards to do all those things. So if you're at a situation where you have a bunch of cards that you think, well, if I can use it, you can always draw 7 more, and 7 can be a lot.
Leggy is fighting the Grass Club Master, and she actually I'm pretty sure she has nothing but grass Pokemon in her deck. And if you get a Diglett's going to be weak to all of that, and you don't really want to pull Diglett. He is what we call a meat shield in this fight. You just put him out front and let him take all the damage and die so you can set up your fire Pokemon, if you get one. But luckily, Leggy, she started with just a Ponyta, and Ponyta is very strong here. The only thing we have to worry about is it only has 40 health, and that can be a bit scary. But if we can manage, Ponyta will just make it through this whole fight. We're using a computer search here, and computer search is basically going to let us do whatever we want. So I would say that the playability that's going on right now is very well, and should have this fight no problem. But you never know what's going to happen in this game.
Dijon just made a very good play there. She had a Charmander with only 10 health left, so essentially any attack was going to kill Charmander, since attacks in Pokemon trading card game go in multiples of 10. Her Charmander had just 1 hit left, and enough fire energies to do 30 damage to Electabuzz, who had 40 health left, but she decided to sacrifice the Charmander instead of evolving it to Charmeleon and add the plus power to take out the Electabuzz's last 40 health. The plus power trainer card adds 10 damage to your attack for 1 turn, and it was just enough to take out to take out the Electabuzz, and that's awesome because Electabuzz can be quite a pain to deal with.
Now we're fighting the first fighting gym trainer, Michael. Oh no, this is the Ronald fight first. Sorry. Ronald, he challenges you 2 times before the end of the game, and it's faster to just lose. Sometimes Ronald will stall, and you never want to see that. But this was a very good Ronald fight because he had a Charmander, and Charmander never stalls. As long as Ronald has energy, he won't stall with Charmander.
Yeah, Ronald is like, the first 2 times you fight him, he's like a fight that the game kind of forces on you after you complete a certain amount of it, and it's not mandatory to win. If you beat him, you get like promo cards, which are not necessary for completing the speedrun, so it's just faster to do as little as you can per turn and hope he takes you out. Sometimes you'll sit there thinking and like attaching energies and doing nothing, and yeah, we love Ronald.
So, here we see Magmar versus Magmar. Luckily, Michael didn't have energy for his Magmar, which is very common. And he also went second against Magmar, so we were able to get energy on our Magmar first. And basically, he saw that he was at a disadvantage and stopped attaching energy to Magmar. Sometimes the trainers will do that, and when you see that, it's very relieving. But if they're doing that, it's likely that they're setting up their bench. Now, Michael is a fighting type trainer. We're not seeing any fighting types so far, which is pretty nice. But Magmar is actually one of the scarier things that he can have. But luckily, that didn't turn out bad. Now, versus Hitmonlee can attack your bench, but we don't have a bench, so we don't have to worry about that. And this fight seems to be going very well and should just be cleaned up very shortly.
Dijon was able to play the Diglett again, the Doug Trio, and Doug Trio is basically the Lightning Club's worst nightmare. Doug Trio's weakest attack does 40 damage and requires no discards and has no drawbacks, and versus electric types that's 80 damage. And most cards in this game don't even have 80 health. It's just such a powerful card, and you're gonna see it attempted to be used a lot in speedrun.
Wow, another computer search. Very well. That's awesome. You got a Hitmonchan, which when you get a Hitmonchan, it's pretty disappointing because you just wish it was a Duck Trio. But another computer search, I mean, that's pretty good.
Ooh, this one might be a little spicy.
Yeah, we're fighting Amanda. We come do a sidetrack and go over to the water gym to fight this trainer. This is a very annoying trainer who has only like one or two water types. Their water types are Poliwag and Oymanite. And other than that, you're going to see Jigglypuff, Scyther, and those are just horrible things that you have to be a little tricky in order to beat them. Jigglypuff will put you to sleep and stall until it can become Wigglytuff. And Wigglytuff, if it has enough damage, will kill you as long as they have enough Pokemon on their bench. They do more damage the more Pokemon they have on their bench.
Dijon was getting pelted by Stun-Spore, but she was able to get enough fire energy on her Magmar, which was on the bench, and once she brings out the Magmar, it's essentially game over for the Grass Club.
Alright, only one prize left, and it's a fossil out on the bench. Now, I think you don't get a prize when you kill the fossil. Nope, you don't. She also has fossils and Clefairy dolls that she puts on the bench. These items are trainers that act as if they were Pokemon, but you can't attack with them, and they only have 10 HP. They do have other uses than that, but you won't see those. Well, the Clefairy doll doesn't, but you won't see those in the red.
I love what Dijon just did at the end of the Nikki fight. Her Magmar was paralyzed, but when you bring a Pokemon back onto your bench, it does not keep a status effect, it's cured. Only your active Pokemon can have a status effect. So, since Magmar requires discarding energy cards to retreat back to the bench, which really sucks to do, she played the Switch card, which lets you do it for free, swapped out to Diglett, retreated Diglett since Diglett has no energy discard retreat cost, and sent Magmar back out fully healed all in one turn and was able to finish that fight. That was awesome. I really like that.
Oh, like you almost put Tensor in there. That would have been funny.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
So now we're doing our deck edit for our Scyther only deck, and you're gonna see what kind of powerhouse Scyther is. He for 3 energy, he does 30 damage. But for 1 grass energy, he does a move called Swords Dance, and Swords Dance makes ×2 your attack of Slash, and that means you do 60 damage. And he also resists the fighting Pokemon. So yeah, it's pretty strong. But unfortunately, Chris brought out a Lickitung instead of anything that we can do something against. So this might take a minute.
this is kind of an unfortunate situation. Dijon's opponent's Magmar is fully powered up. Oh, never mind. She had a Dugtrio in her hand. All right, all is fine now. I was a little bit worried because Magmar does 30 damage and Diglett only has 30 health, but that doesn't matter once you bring out Dugtrio.
Yeah, I kind of sacrificed that Magmar so I'd have enough time to get enough energy on Diglett.
Yeah, I noticed the sacrifice there. That was really smart. And as you can see again, Dugtrio is just wrecking house. To answer a question in chat, Scyther is important because he's very powerful and is not weak to fire, and resists ground, and oh wait, sorry, he is weak to fire, but he resists ground, resists fighting. Scyther is just overall like a really good card. So what you're seeing here is that there's a deck that you make for this club that only has Scyther as your only Pokemon. So if you draw a hand that has no Pokemon in it, you have to shuffle back into your deck and redraw until you get a Pokemon. So you just keep going until you get Scyther.
Yeah, it's just, you'll do a mulligan over and over and over, and eventually you'll pick Scyther. And, Scyther, he's really good for the speed run because, for one, in the deck that we get in the beginning, we don't really have any good grass cards. For two, there aren't really any good grass cards, so it's just, Scyther is probably one of the best picks for being fast. He could just, you'll see here in this gene fight, just look how much Scyther will be just destroying everything. All rock Pokemon are weak to grass. And even though they're rock Pokemon, they're actually just fighting Pokemon because there is no distinguishing between rock, ground, and, fighting in this game. They all use the same kind of energy. The only distinguishing is what they are weak to. And all the rock ones are weak to Scyther. So the only thing... Go ahead, sir.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, because Scyther is such an important card, is like pretty much required to get one, but you don't start off with a Scyther, you're not like guaranteed one at any point in the game. So if you get one in one of the random booster packs that you pick up from one of your battles, like that's when it's time to pop off. Like that's awesome, because otherwise you have to get to go to the PC, take the two packs out of the PC, and open them both and hope there's a Scyther and reset if you don't get it. There's a way to manipulate it, but it's kind of hard to do sometimes, and it just eats up a lot of time if you're just redrawing for Scyther over and over again.
At least we got that out of the way.
So, Rhyhorn is the one thing you do not want to see versus the Rock Club leader, because Rhyhorn has, I think it's called, I forget the name of the attack actually.
It's Leer.
Leer, okay. When he flips a coin, if he gets heads, you just cannot do damage to it unless you switch out and switch back in. And that's not very often going to happen because, we only have Scyther in our deck. But one thing you can do is put a card like Fossil in your deck and retreat with Scyther, because Scyther has free retreat, and go to the Fossil. But the Fossil cannot retreat, so you have to have a switch card if you want to use that strat, and switch back into Scyther, and then Scyther can do damage to the Rhyhorn. But you just don't often see that happening because, cards have to be in their favor for that. So here's the last fighting trainer, Jessica. She is too hard. She's pretty easy, but sometimes you might not go in your favor. The reason we use Scyther here is because she has a Doduo, and Diglett can do nothing to the Doduo. But after this fight, you will see Diglett come back into play, and we will be using him throughout the rest of the run. Mostly.
I actually skipped Jean and went straight to Ken because I don't have a Scyther.
Oh man, yeah. Sometimes you just change up your route like that, hoping that if you get lucky again.
One thing that I think we haven't mentioned yet is that this game's soundtrack like actually slaps. It's some of the best music on the Game Boy, and that's like one of the reasons I run this game is because the music is so good.
Now, you may be asking into chat who's ahead, but you might see someone ahead right now, but this game is so RNG heavy that might not be the case in 5 minutes. Because sometimes a trainer will just wall you over and over, and you just lose 10 minutes because the game's like that. I mean, in a race, 10 minutes is a little excessive, but it can happen. I have several races I've come back at the last minute to win or lose, so I mean, it's back. It can go back and forth. We won't know until the end. But right now, Leggy has been on a pretty good run. It's going pretty well. So Chansey is a Stallmon. Chansey is mostly only used for stalling. It can do damage, and a lot of damage, but it needs 4 energy to do so you almost never see that happen. For 1 energy, it has a move called Scrunch, which is the same as Rhyhorn, except that you can't switch out to change the damage. You can't do anything. If it's heads, you can't do nothing. But Chansey is weak to Diglett, and it's gonna die pretty easily before it can really do anything but stall. This guy actually has mostly normal types and very few fire types in his deck. I think he has a Arcanine and a Magmar. I think that's it.
To answer a question in chat about why Diglett is so good, it's like, even though Diglett has very low HP, it only has 30, he can only take like 3 low damage hits. Diglett can do a lot of damage with very little energy attached to him, and it can also be like used to switch out for other Pokemon very freely because he has no retreat cost. So although he can be a little bit of a glass cannon, the other good thing about Diglett is that not only does its base form do quite a bit of damage with just very little energy attached, and versus some types it does double, so you can do like 60 damage versus one Pokemon, this little tiny Diglett. It also evolves into Dugtrio, which I've been saying a couple times tonight is like one of the best cards in the game because it's like its weakest attack does 40 base damage and requires no discards. It just runs a complete slaughterhouse on a lot of these gyms.
Yeah, you just saw on leggystarscream Dugtrio do 120 damage to a Jigglypuff. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you want to see. That's good. Diglett and Dugtrio just kill normal types. And there are a lot of trainers using normal types in this game. Alright, now we're fighting Maury. He actually tries to win with shenanigans, stalling, and then bringing out Alakazam or Kadabra. Those are 2 things you don't want to see. Likely, if a Kadabra comes out, you're just not going to win. He just tries to stall as much as possible to make this happen. The reason we put a Rattata in our deck is because he has a Mr. Mime, and Mr. Mime is a wall to Diglett because, well, he's not a complete wall, but he's something you don't want to see, I would say, because he has an ability which makes it so that you can't do more than 20 damage at once, and since Diglett doesn't have a move that does 20 damage. He can only do 10 damage every turn to Mr. Mime. Luckily, we're a Dugtrio here against this Kadabra, and the Kadabra, it's going to do 50 damage to us, but we used a defender, so it didn't do anything, because it didn't have energy anyway. Maurice decided not to put energy on it anymore. He's got another Kadabra, but we have Dugtrio, and that Kadabra's going to die. We still have more prizes to take, though, so if a Dugtrio is against a Mr. Mime, Dugtrio can literally do nothing to Mr. Mime. But that didn't happen. That was a really good Murray fight. That fight can go very, very badly, but it didn't. I think we fight Ronald again, do we? Next?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Ronald 2 coming up. Let's see how this one goes.
On Dijon's side, she is resetting the game to get Scyther out of one of the mail packs, which, as you can see, like, this is why it's like such a big deal if you get Scyther out of a booster pack early on in the run, because this process can be quite painful, and not having to deal with this is something that is like the god run.
And there's also like certain frames that if you get something other than Scyther, there's like a kind of a cheat sheet that shows what order you kind of have to go in to collect other packs in the mail to find Scyther, and people have like made a whole like list of all the mail packs you need to go through, but it's not always foolproof. And I also just opened the wrong pack because I was talking.
Yeah, the cards you get from your pack depends on...
There's the Scyther.
Depends on the frame you open the pack on, and so it's basically frame perfect, but there's several different frames for each Pokemon, so it's not easy. So there's an old man in the corner of the Psychic Gym that'll give you a free Mewtwo, and that's just very nice of him. We're going to use this Mewtwo right away, and we're going to make a Mewtwo only deck, and Mewtwo, well, actually, we're going to the water gym first. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I do a different route.
Yeah, there is a couple of different routes through this game, which is one of the things I find really interesting.
Yeah, if you look through like the top 10 on the leaderboard, just about everyone slightly different route.
So now we made our Pikachu deck to go clean up the water gym. Pikachu and Electabuzz is what you want in your deck here. And Raichu if you have them. But Pikachu is pretty strong, honestly. The only setback that he has, really, is that he only has 40 HP. And he can't... I don't think it can one-shot Lapras, and that's the biggest problem, because Lapras is very strong in this game. And mini trainers use it, and it's super annoying. And if we get to one, you'll see why.
To answer your question in chat, just to reiterate what we were saying earlier about Scyther, Scyther is such a valuable card because not only does it have 70 HP and it's able to do like a lot of damage very quickly, it also, like, you get Scyther right before you take on the Fighting and the Rock clubs. And in Pokemon trading card game, Fighting and Rock and Ground are all merged into one type. And Scyther resists that type. So when a card resists another type, that means if a Fighting or Rock or Ground type Pokemon tries to attack Scyther, it automatically is reduced by 30 damage because of Scyther's resistance to that type. And Scyther being a grass type doesn't have very many Pokemon that it's weak to in these two clubs, so it's overall just a very valuable card, and that's why we reset the packs to get Scyther, and then only put Scyther in our deck so that it can just solo the fights in these clubs.
Leggy's over here getting energy removal. That's not fun. Basically, that's just making the fight take longer, because if the opponent energy removals you, you're not going to be able to do more damage the next turn. But Joshua, he usually is not too much of a problem. He dies easily, but Shelter is over here stalling. It has that move where if you get a heads, it doesn't take damage. So that's fun. Leggy does have a right shield that will be helping out if it needs to.
Rhyhorn.
Yeah, I'm seeing a Rhyhorn over there.
And it keeps getting heads.
Oh no.
Oh, and it removed my double colorless too. So
Oh
that's
man. That's awful. Sorry to hear it.
this game's trolling me tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately that's kind of how this game goes some nights.
Yeah, they say it don't be like that, but sometimes. But yeah, if you saw me when I was resetting and in the computer trying to get the packs out of the mail to find a Scyther, there was a bit of a delay each time I was resetting because I was checking the little document that we have in that people have put together to see what cards I drew, and if there was a way that instead of resetting again, I could just open up packs to advance the RNG frames, because they freeze when you're either in a duel or in the computer, and you just advance one frame at a time. And essentially, the RNG frames for a lot of the card packs pretty much consistent and run one right after the other. So you can actually use the document that people have put together to see if you have one of the packs that you open first, if there's a way you can just open another pack or another couple of packs to guarantee the Scyther without having to reset again, just trying to open one pack for Scyther over and over.
Yeah, so the way that works, you save in front of the computer, and you leave your menu cursor on checking the mail, and at the title screen, you use the floating orbs around the title screen to kind of get an idea of when you want to start mashing, and then you mash as fast as you can, and if you frame perfect mash, you will hit the frame. But, you know, frame perfect mashing is not going to happen because we're humans. But the good news is there's several frames you can hit, and they're almost all in succession. So there's 3 different frames for Scyther. It goes Scyther, Scyther, Gyarados, Scyther. So if you get a Gyarados, that sucks because you were really close. If you get a Pinsir, that sucks because you were really close. But you almost had it. It's definitely not an easy manip to do, and you would want to get Scyther in your pack. That's why we're really looking for Scyther in the early game in our booster packs. So now you're going to see Mewtwo. Mewtwo against Rick is very nice. Before we used Mewtwo, we used to use Dugong here, and Dugong is a very nice card, but Mewtwo is just a lot better for this. If your cards are the ones you want, you can turn 2, do 40 damage, and he also has Mewtwo's, but if we go first against a Mewtwo, that means we get set up first, most likely, and if we get set up first, we kill it. Ooh. No, there's 2 Mewtwo's in the game. There's 2 Mewtwo's in the game. This is the one we have, and the one that we were against. Those are the 2 ones. And the one we have only does 40 damage, which is enough, honestly. That's all you really needed to do. Sometimes, I guess sometimes you would wish it did more, but there's plus power for that. Everything that Rick has, is not really much of a threat to Mewtwo, except for Porygon. You never want to see Porygon. Porygon can destroy the fight and you're probably going to end up losing or resetting. Not always, but it's definitely might happen. Porygon can change what type that you're weak to, and he will change that to grass, and then he'll come out and, use his coughings and grammars and kill you. Mewtwo is normally weak to Psychic. That's why the other Mewtwo can be a threat. That was a pretty good Rick fight. You're having a nice run here. It's going well so far.
Well, thank you.
So let's see what Dijon's doing over here. Dijon's fighting Mori. Let's see. You've got the Rattata versus Snorlax. That's not terrible because Snorlax, he's just going to stall with Snorlax, but you would definitely rather have Diglett. But you can't always have what you want in this game. Almost never can you.
Yeah, the getting the Snorlax is nice because Snorlax needs 4 energies to do an attack. So sometimes, like, if Snorlax is on the field, that kind of gives you time to build up things on your own bench.
So now we're over here at the Fighting Club, and as you can guess, all the fighting Pokemon are weak to Mewtwo. But Mewtwo is not resisting. We used to fight him with Scyther, and Scyther would resist all of their damage. But Mewtwo doesn't resist, but it pretty much sweeps up everything as long as he doesn't, get set up and able to kill us. What you can do with Mewtwo is something called energy absorption. And that allows you to get all the energy you need at turn 2. So what you do is you put a psychic energy on Mewtwo, and let's say you have 2 other energies in your hand, and one of them's a psychic energy. You use a card like Professor Oak to discard your hand, and then you use energy absorption, which is a move that Mewtwo has, and it puts the energy from your discard pile onto Mewtwo, so you can attack turn 2 instead of turn 3. Very useful. Oh, you got Rattata versus Mr. Mime. I mean, you never want to see a Mr. Mime, but at least you got the Rattata.
I have no idea where any of my Diglets are.
Yeah.
In your prizes, obviously.
I swear, if all 4 of them are in there.
Oh gosh, there we go.
Alright. Now we're gonna get our deck ready for the dome.
That's a little awkward. I have more dugongs than I do seals.
Oh, that happens often.
You hate to see that happen.
But, I guess if you wanted to have more dugongs, it's not bad.
I guess.
It's more chance to pull them if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to, the first person you fight in the dome is Courtney. We fight them with Dugong. Dugong is a very strong card. But Seal is not, so that's the kind of downside to using Dugong. Seal has lots of health, but it cannot do very much damage. I think it only does 10 damage every turn. But Dugong can do 50 damage for 3 energy. Or for 4 energy, it can paralyze and do 30 damage. So if you can't one-shot something with Dugong, you just paralyze it and hope that you get a heads, and then you can kill it the next turn. And there's cards in the game that will actually help you get a heads if we need to. And if that shot comes up, I'll explain it, but it might not. So the beginning of the fight is just going to be getting Seal set up and praying that we get a Dugong. Seal really can't do too much on its own.
Dijon is unfortunately in kind of a bad situation. She was able to get the Dug Trio out, but Murray has an Alakazam out, and what Alakazam can do is transfer its damage to other Pokemon on the bench, and the other Pokemon on the bench are Chansey and Snorlax, which are essentially like bottomless pits of HP. So her Dark Trio has taken a little bit of damage already and is in danger of dying from Alakazam. So getting like a potion here or something would be awesome. It's just kind of a rough spot to be in against this trainer.
Yeah, you'd never want to see Alakazam. I don't think it's possible to win against him, but I guess it is possible. I don't think that's ever happened to me.
Oh.
I guess it is possible if you get Dugtrio and do enough earthquakes.
If you get like Earthquake and plus power, it's a one-shot, I think. Or actually, I could be wrong, but I think, yeah, I think that would happen.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to restart that duel.
That's really unfortunate. The club leader battles take longer because one of the there's basically 2 win conditions for a Pokemon trading card game. You place down a bunch of cards at the start of the duel, and every time you knock out one of your opponent's Pokemon, you pick up one of those cards that you've placed down. Those are called prizes. First, most trainers you do either 3 or 4 prizes, so you have to knock out 4 of their Pokemon to win. The other win condition is if you knock out their Pokemon and they have no more left on their bench. But versus like club leaders, you have to do 6 prizes. So if they're drawing a lot of Pokemon cards, especially ones that have as much HP as Murray's do, it can kind of take a long time to get out of this fight.
Alright, we got our Dugong. It's time to sweep up. They have a Moltres, which could be scary if it had energy on it, but it doesn't. Moltres can do, I think, 90 damage if it gets hits. I don't remember the exact number because you just don't see it happen very often. But for like 3 energy and a coin flip, it can do a massive damage. But if it gets tails, it does nothing. So
I believe the exact amount of damage it does is ouch.
Yeah. Alright, so we're gonna fight Steve. Steve has Legendary Zapdos in his deck. And Legendary Zapdos is a very annoying card to go up against. And what Steve does with his Zapdos is, I think that he uses scoop ups. I know that Jack does, but when Zapdos comes out on the bench, it does 30 damage to a random Pokemon, and a lot of times that Pokemon's going to be yours, but sometimes it's his. So what you can do, if he puts it out, you can reset and continue duel and try to, do your turn a different way to advance RNG, and it might turn out in your favor, it might not. But also, you can't hurt Zapdos with Diglett. You need Dugtrio. Otherwise, everything is, it's gonna die.
I'm gonna have to agree with what this chatter said, that Dugtrio is best waifu in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed. Stop flipping tails.
So I just wanted to point out that was a gold Steve for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's very nice, Steve. No Zapdos. Let's hope Jack
Very
goes
nice.
well. It's really hard to get a good Jack fight because Jack has so many shenanigans. He has Legendary Articuno, which works the same way as Zapdos almost. When you put it out, its ability paralyzes our active Pokemon, so it's just even worse. We get paralyzed if we don't have a full heal. We do nothing. And he scoops up Zapdos over and over. Not Zapdos, Articuno over and over, and yeah, it's not fun. So let's really hope we get a good Jack fight, because he's probably one of the worst in the final four.
Come on, Jack. Let me close the gap a little.
Yeah. It could happen. You can lose 10 minutes easily to Jack, I would say.
God. Worst.
I think the last run I did, I called it quits at Jack because it was 1 in the morning and I wasn't getting anywhere on that fight.
Yeah, it can happen. Jack is very good at stalling. But what can happen is he doesn't get the right Pokemons out to... Oh my god, that was an amazing fight. Congratulations. Let's go. Let's
Wow,
go.
that's unreal.
Alright, now we're at Rod. He is a so-called dragon trainer, but he is basically the easiest of all the trainers besides Courtney, I guess.
No fair, Leggy. You're taking all my RNG.
So Lapras is very annoying Pokemon. It can confuse you, it can paralyze you, it can do 30 damage to you, or 20 damage. And it has tons of HP. It's just awful all around. It's many good trainers have a Lapras in their deck. He has Gyarados, but I don't think I've ever seen him use it. He also has a Charizard in his deck. I don't know, he never gets to use because it just doesn't turn out in his favor.
Is it just me, or does Rod kind of look like a cross between Lance and Gary Oak?
Wow, I just drew another Scyther. Thanks, game.
Yeah. So Kangaskhan is not going to ever do damage to you, most likely. It needs 4 energy to do damage. And if it gets its 4 energy, it's going to do 4 coin flips, which does take a pretty long time to go through all those animations. But usually he just he's used to just draw cards. For 1 energy, I think it draws a card. Or does it draw 2 cards?
Just 1.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So he's used to stall, usually. Because he has lots of health and he draws cards.
I don't know, if it was 2 cards, it might be... deck.
There we go.
Once again, witnessing Dugtrio's just absolute destructive power in Pokemon TCG. I'm a huge fan.
#1 Dugtrio stan.
In this house, we stand Dugtrio.
So there is... Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
There is a card that this trainer and the next trainer has that we absolutely don't want to see. And that's Dragonair. Dragonair can do damage to you at the same time as removing your energy every turn. So it's if you get energy removal on top of that, you're just not gonna win. Most likely, you're just not. Alright, so here we're at the final duel against Ronald. We actually have to win this time. Ronald has all the evolutions, all the legendary cards, and some Laprases, and I think that's about it in his deck.
Wow, Leggy is having, like, the game of her life, and I am the worst RNG I have ever...
Yeah, she's on a pretty good run.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
The Murray fight that you had was pretty unfortunate with the Alakazam coming out after he made some good progress. But you know, we have two very excellent runners of this game on the stream tonight having a race, and sometimes like that's just how the RNG in this game will treat you. Sometimes you really have to love it to run it.
Wow. Is Ronald actually? Nope. Nope, you got it. Of course. Of course. Well, let's see if he puts anything on the bench. We could win next turn. Nope. Wow, he's getting heads on with all his EVs. He's pretty lucky there.
Yeah.
Honestly, having like a race in like a showcase like this, where one of us is having really good RNG and one bad RNG, just really goes to show you how fickle this game can be with the RNG.
Even down to things like a coin flip, deciding whether or not your Pokemon lives or dies on a multi-hit move, or whether or not you get poisoned or paralyzed or confused. It can really like change the whole course of the battle. There are speedrun categories in this game where you actually like peek into your deck with things like computer search, and so you can like plan accordingly. But not everyone opts to do that.
Yo, nice. It's over.
So that's a PB.
Yeah. Wow, nice. Congrats. GG. All we had left was a stall mon, so you were able to finish. So time is gonna come up after collecting all the legendary cards, and the screen fades to white to go to the credits. So your reward for winning is you get all the legendary cards. They're not that great. I mean, they're pretty good, but they're not that great. Zapdos is the best one, I would say.
They're pretty much just fun with RNG.
Yeah.
So that's time for Leggy.
What did you get on your splits there?
113-14.
Oh, nice. Good job.
Well done.
Good job.
So, I'd like to say, please give the runners a follow. They're gonna be doing more runs in the future, I'm sure, and if you like this game, if you want to see it again, follow them.
Yeah, Leggy and I race a bunch too.
It is a very fun race game.
The Super Mario RPG IRC channel is like half the conversation that goes on in there is like people just planning races of Pokemon TCG. It's pretty wonderful.
Alright, so here we have Mewtwo getting set up before our Mewtwo.
Yeah.
That's one thing you don't want to see against Rick. If Rick goes first and he has Mewtwo, it's not gonna go very well, most likely. Oh wow, he didn't attach any energy. Wow.
He attached one to
good.
Grimer on the bench.
I guess he just gave up. He was like, yeah, that's a pretty strong Mewtwo. So you'll see here that Dijon, will discard her psychic energy, and she's going to use absorption, and then she'll be able to attack next turn.
And you pretty much just Cyburn your way to victory. Unless that happens. If you get paralyzed, then it's not great, but I have a full heal.
Oh, that's such a good card to have here. Full heal will remove any status effect.
Oh no, it's Porygon.
Oh no!
You never want to see that Porygon.
Yeah, Porygon is not a pal. This is why Porygon
Yeah.
is. This is why Porygon is banned in Japan.
So, just quickly, I'd like to remind all the viewers that coming up on GDQ, October is Disability Month on Hotfix. So we're working with able gamers to give disabled gamers a voice and to show off what they can do. You can submit your runs and get more information by typing !Disability Month in chat. And keep in mind that by disabilities, that's not just physical. That can also be invisible and non-physical disabilities. If you're a disabled gamer, submit something. We want to see what you can do. So get those submissions in whenever you can.
This is not a great situation here. Ah.
I believe.
Whoever thought Porygon would be useful.
Yeah, this game is kind of made in a way that if the computer can't win, it stalls.
Alright, Rick is over. So all we gotta do is go clean up at the fighting gym, and then we're on to the Grandmasters. I'd like to give a couple shoutouts to people from the community that have helped this game. Blazaford, he has helped immensely with his research. He figured out the manip for Scyther and many other manips. And lots of science for TCG2, and he has done the task. So definitely check out those things. The task is really good. It manips RNG so that you can win like turn 1 on every fight that you can. It's really nice. Some fights are just set up. Gym leaders and grandmasters are set up so that it's impossible to win turn 1. They actually have cards up their sleeve. So, unfortunately, just nothing you can do about that. Strawberry White Block, he really helped out the community. This game was kind of dead for a while, and he came into the scene, it started grinding the game, and became a mod on speedrun, and is responsible for changing the rules to get rid of the tutorial, so let's all thank him. Thank you very much. He unfortunately has disappeared, but I hope I see him again one day. You're a cool dude, Strawberry. And and to all the people who have ran this game and showcased it in marathons, and thank you very much for showing how cool this game is, how fun it is to run, and
Another Scyther.
it's not really that fun to run. It can be very frustrating if you're just trying to grind a PB, but to race, it is very fun. It's very easy to pick up. If you want to learn the game, you go to speedrun.com. There's lots of guides on there that can help you, and it's not hard to learn, so I highly recommend if you want to have a fun game to race with your friends.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this game compared to a lot of other speed games, at least in my book, is that mistakes aren't super punishing. If you get hecked over in one of these duels, you just reset. Yeah, it's time loss, which can be obnoxious, but your run is never over unless you decide to just throw in the towel.
Which sometimes the RNG makes you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't I know it?
Definitely been there before.
Right now, you mean?
Yeah, just about.
I really sympathize with Dijon after all that hard work to get a Scyther for the Rock and the Fighting Club, just getting 2 more in booster packs at the end. So if anyone in chat's wondering why she keeps saying thanks a lot, game, that's Pokemon TCG.
I have a love-hate relationship with.
Alright, let's
I
see
love
how these
to-
Grandmasters go. Yeah.
Also, fun fact: after all that I went through, I got a gold Mitch.
Nice.
Nice. Pretty good, pretty okay hand. We have all the energy we need at least, and Professor Oak, and maybe get lucky. How many dugongs did you have in your deck?
Oh, I have 4/4 right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I
If
got real.
Depending on how many cards you have, what cards you have at the end, you can kind of change your deck according. So you saw that Leggy did most of the Grandmasters with Diglett Dug Trio. If I had 4 Dugongs and like maybe only 2 Dug Trios, I would do them with Dugong, except for of course Steve. But it's really all up to what you want to do, what you feel comfortable with. Sometimes using Duck Trio can be a little bit risky, but definitely faster. Oh, not definitely. It's risky because the chances are you might just die over and over because Diglett does not have enough health.
Yeah,
and doesn't have... Go ahead.
I've had a number of duels against Steve where I have a single Diglett out, and he just first turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
as good a Pokemon as Diglett is to get in the speedrun, like he really kind of needs backup. It's kind of hard to like, sometimes impossible to just run train with just a Diglett.
Yeah, it's one of those risk. Honestly, since I've only got I think I've only got 2 Dug Trios after Steve, I may actually switch back to Dugong deck.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Alright. Courtney didn't go too bad.
Woo!
Now let's hope we don't get walled by Steve here. We got 2 Duck Trios. Now it can happen that one of your 6 prizes will be a card that you need to evolve, such as Dug Trio. Sometimes they might both be prized, but you almost never will see that happen.
I mean, it happens to me all the time. Bad RNG is my middle name. Actually, it's
Dijon.
Alexandra, but
I was about to ask Dijon Bad RNG Ketchup is a catchy Twitch name.
well, I have all my Diglets.
Oh, you got a Dug Trio too. Let's go. Should go well, but
It's Steve, so
no. I mean, anything could happen, I suppose, but Dug Trio is what you want for this fight, because it's the only thing that can hurt Zapdos. You don't want to use Dugong because its weakness is electric, it's going to die really fast. Other than that, Dugong is a very strong card.
Steve, stop putting stuff on your bench. Sure.
Yeah.
Come on, Steve.
Scuba Steve. Alright.
Alright. Not too bad for a Steve fight, and didn't see any Zapdos.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Alright, let's see if you can get a good Jack fight, too. The rare good Jack fight.
Not liking the start.
Oof.
Yeah, Lapras is horrible. Definitely my least favorite to go against.
Yeah, Water Gun is just a rough
Is
attack.
that... Oh, come on. Really? That's alright. We'll just... That's how we're gonna make this work.
Now he tries to use these Dittos and turn them into Laprases or whatever he can. Usually not a Stallmon. But Ditto dies
Do I have...
to Dugtrio or Diglett. So a lot of times he won't be able to evolve it.
That one shot Dugtrio.
Mm-hmm.
I can't like understate just how good of a card that is like in TCG. It's like when you can get this guy out on the field, it's just like, for me it's almost like a sigh of relief when it's like, yes, I got him out. Everything's fine now, until I realize I have a full bench of Diglets and I keep casting Earthquake and it kills them all.
Yeah. You gotta watch out for that one.
So this Articuno right here, we're gonna need to Earthquake it because, or just Gust of Wind, that works too. But
Gotta bring it right
Articuno
back.
has resistance to fighting types, so we're gonna have to Earthquake it for 40 damage.
Ooh. We don't even have to fight that thing because we can just item find Gust of Wind and... There. That was the painless Jack action.
That wasn't so bad.
Not only that, it was a gold split.
Oh yeah.
That's
Let's
awesome.
go.
Go figure that like the fight that is usually such like a pain in the butt in the run is like really good for both of you when the rest of the game has kind of been unforgiving.
Right. It's just kind of like the game gave me all the bad RNG earlier, and then Leggy finished, and now I'm getting all her.
I'm apologizing. I recognize Mom said it was your turn on the RNG.
This rod fight's going pretty well, too.
Awesome.
Yo, nice.
Ready for the Ronald McDonald.
The legendary Ronald.
Yeah, this time we can't. Oh, I don't want to do that because it's going to shuffle the deck, and I'm not going to have that Doug Trio that's coming right back, right up. So instead, we're going to do this. Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's just an example of something that you can do by
Galaxy
resetting
Brain.
some playability that you get.
That is a clutch potion right there.
Yeah, that's sort of using the cards to look at the top of your deck and then resetting if you don't want to shuffle is actually one of the strategies I figured out as a kid.
Nice. It's almost like, resetting is a trainer card. Whoa.
Galaxy Brain plays. Oh, he has nothing on his bench. This is a good Ronald right here.
Nice. Wow. Congrats.
So just
both
tore
had
through
nice
the
Ronald
Pokemon
fights.
Dome.
Nice.
Good game. Sorry that you had some pretty bad RNG, but at least the dome
Yeah.
went all right.
Yeah.
All right. Time is going to come up when the cards, after she collects the 4th legendary card, which is Dragonite, and the screen fades to white to transition to the credit.
Time. And that was a gold Ronald.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Wow. As terrible as like the first half of I blazed through the last half and 3 gold splits.
Well done to both of our runners. Everyone in chat, definitely give our 2 runners a follow. They did fantastic tonight.
And thank you to both of you
Yeah,
for
seriously.
being on commentary tonight.
That's no problem. I actually woke up early to do it because Pitch told me that there was only going to be one commentator, and that's just, this game is really hard to talk while you're playing because there's so much going on and thinking you have to do, and times 2, it's even hard to commentate because there's so much going on, and one person is just really not enough. And thank you for letting me help because I love talking about this game. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's almost a 2-person job watching all those menus go by so fast.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here and putting this on because I love doing this with y'all. I love Frame Fatales. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys got any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, just, shout outs to all the people in the community who've done all the legwork. No pun intended with leggy here. Just kind of, the Scyther manips and all that. And if this is interesting to you, it's pretty easy to pick up and learn to run. As long as you know how the Pokemon trading card game works, and there's a tutorial that we skip that is at the very beginning of the game that teaches you how to play the game. and it's as much as we complain about the RNG, it's still a lot of play, and like there's so many different routes you can take. But yeah, there's an SRC page. There's a channel for it in just the general Pokemon speedrun Discord, and you've got this any percent, and then there's also an all cards run, which is not run by many people, but yeah.
I wanna give a shout out to Midboss, because when Dijon ran this for Tree Fort, he called me out for being a commentator for it. Meanwhile, I've never raced him in this game, and I just want to say I still haven't raced you because I'm an expert dodgeball player.
Yeah, I just want to shout out everyone who's going to be running and has run in this Frame Fatales Marathon. It's just a really good event put on by some really wonderful ladies, and I hope everyone enjoys all of the speedruns.
Yeah. Shoutouts to this soundtrack.
Heck
Shoutouts
yeah.
to this
definitely.
soundtrack.